Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first official week of the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch Tournament. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and joining me today is Man of Class. Man of Class, it's the first week of the season. What can we expect now that serious play is underway?
Well, so what we usually try to do with the CEA is we look towards all the teams. There's quite a few teams we already know. Like last week, we had a few teams that we already were familiar with from last season. So while we're still in this open bracket, while we don't quite know where everyone's going to land, we just try to show as many teams as possible. We try to not repeat teams, see exactly what we do. And for this match particularly, and the match that will follow after, because we're doing 2 today, it's new this season. We're looking at 4 teams that we basically haven't seen before. Some of the players' names do seem familiar. Like I know we've casted them before, but they're definitely new formations in most cases. So there's a lot of new in there, and even companies that haven't put up their teams before. So that's exciting.
That's right. I mean, looking at the lineup that we've got for today, we'll be starting off with Justice Pays from Above with a PayPal team going up against a new Amazon team. This is Amazon OWS. So whilst we have seen Amazon previously, and in fact, we did see an Amazon team last week, the second place finishers from the previous season of CEA. This is a new incarnation. The second matchup is going to be Garmin Force team, or Garmin Force, apologies. And Garmin are a team that we've certainly not seen on broadcast previously, whilst their opponent is going to be a Microsoft team. And again, we've seen Microsoft teams, but the Microsoft team we saw last season, and I believe last week, unless my doddering old man brain has let me down yet again, it was Overwatch 360 No Scope. No, Overwatch? Yeah, Microsoft 360 No Scope. So again, another new Microsoft team, but a company that we've certainly seen a lot of today. But we can probably break this down a little more granularly, Man of Class, in that we do have at least a little bit of information, care of the team sheets that our teams have provided us. And I feel like this is a thing that we come up against time and time and again. But guys, if you are here expecting contenders level gameplay, we do have some unfortunate news for you. It's a lower ranked set of teams, but they should be good fun. They always are.
Yeah, they definitely are. And of course, we talk about, SR averages and all of those things, but they kind of go out of the, out of the window as soon as you start talking about competitive Overwatch, because that team play that you get together, that practice that you do, it's all separate from an SR ladder. So even when I would say, for instance, now that one of the teams is, an average diamond team, doesn't really matter. It's about how they match up. It's about how they play together, and about how those mechanics and those communications come together to form a coherent performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've certainly seen from the previous season of CEA is teams who you would, you wouldn't expect to do well in contenders, still marked improvement over the course of the season, because they get better at that teamwork, at knowing what their role is, knowing what the call outs are. So, as a metric for watching teams improve, CEA is actually a great thing here. And so we're looking for baseline levels here for the 4 teams today, and then we'll check in on them over the course of the season and see if they can climb the curve. Worth noting that we are playing on a relatively new patch, but I think it's fair to say, can I see that nothing has really changed that much as a result of these patches. Like, there have been some changes that people were up in arms about, but they probably don't mean that much.
Yeah, and of course, these changes are always also the question, do these teams actually care about the changes? Do they really impact their specific compositions? Maybe both of these teams were already playing, I don't know, Wrecking Ball Diva the entire time, which, I mean, Wrecking Ball's got a little bit of a nerf, but not that gigantically. Like it's it happened again. No, but I mean we're looking at a patch that tries to micro balance certain things, which mostly affect the higher levels of plays. Which again we've already said this is not that highest level, but it could still affect mentally sometimes. the perception of patches can still influence decisions that teams make, even no matter what level they are. We know that everyone wanted to play GOATs during the GOATs era. No one actually knew how to play it, but the perception that it was the strongest makes people play it sometimes as well. So we'll see if that means we get to see more Orisa or Winston today, whether we see a lot of Reaper. I know that Reaper has generally been relatively popular in the CEA. We've seen a fair bit of Reaper, and with these changes, we might actually see more of that. So that would be interesting. I definitely like seeing more Reaper. I think he's a very interesting character to like play around with. But we'll see how these teams use him, if at all.
It's unfortunate that we're not playing this on a Friday for Reaper Friday celebration purposes, but we'll take what we can. So the Reaper change in specific has been a nerf to his damage per pellet, but a lot more focus in the spread of his weapons so that he's a little bit more accurate. So he's now moved, I guess, away from the Roadhog style of scrap gun and just a smidge more towards being a little bit more of a McCree analog. But I still think we'll likely to see a lot of McCree coming through as well as a fairly solid hero in the meta. But it does seem, Man of Class, like we are ready to move into our first map of this first game of the evening, and we'll be going to Ilios Lighthouse, starting off on a control map as per usual for this tournament.
Yeah, great map if you want to play up more close. Not that much of open space to work with. It's a very good opportunity to just get straight away to that objective. We'll see if the tank and DPS lines actually support that, and whether the supports are able to keep up with it. Lucio, maybe we'll see it. It's a lot of boop ability, but I don't think these teams really like going for it, and we might actually see double pharmacy come out, Phil.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, of all of the sub-maps in the Ilios set, you got to think this is one of the better ones for a Pharah. There's not a lot of space for snipers, really. It's certainly easy to pounce on them, whereas having a permanent threat with long sight lines up in the sky can be quite effective. So it's going to be Okami going up against Arfman here. Let's see how they match up here.
I do like
here as well.
Yeah, I do like this. It's just I mean, if they get to the objective quickly, they can actually set up a whole bunker. But it doesn't look like they're going to be that quick. The turrets are going to be thrown in from a distance.
Yeah, can't actually... there was a teleporter used just to cover that first opening stretch, but looks like it hasn't really gained them too much an advantage. Neither team playing with a Lucio at the minute, and it's Okami with the first kill of the set. Arfman down. Now looking to get a follow-up kill. Certainly wants to stop that res from coming through. There's the second. Chortling Crow down. Had to reload, so the res comes through, but the reload is completed, and the death continues to rain from above. And it's gonna be a bunch of kills coming through from Amazon here, despite an early opening frags from Justice Pays from above.
Luckily for them, it's not that wasn't that expensive of a fight, so to speak. Not a lot of resources used. But you do see Xantes immediately move over to the Baptiste, wants to help out with that air battle a little bit more, I'm guessing. But unfortunately, when you look at this, Arfman has not been really putting up a very strong fight versus Kagokami. It's been like the third time they went down to that Pharah.
That's incredibly unfortunate. They already had that late stagger with Arfman going down, who is now back and fragging back. Sounds like the res might come through, and there's Okami back in the fight. There's Chortling Crow back in the fight. So let's just rewind the past 10 seconds. Nothing's really happened there, and we're ready for the next engagement. Look for now at turrets on this central pillar, trying to stop people making the rotation to aggress onto Justice Pays from above. Got the Nano Boost coming out here, and it's onto the Pharah. It's the Yezin special. No kills on the back of it just yet. Won't find the boot kill. Looking to get something there onto Chortling Crow, who will get the wall out, but nothing doing aside from that one. No kills and one ultimate off the board for the next fight.
So far, this has been a very, very strong showing from the Amazon squad. Not saying that PayPal cannot do anything against this. I mean, Justice does pay from above after all. But it is a tough ask when your Pharah is just so far behind every single step of the way. Arfman has been doing a decent job of trying to counter that Pharah of Kagokami, but it's just very hard when you're running into a defensive Pharah. She pokes you down so easily.
Look at the hit scan that we've now got coming out here from Justice Pays from above. That's 3 total hit scans, and ooh, that was a heck of a bubble coming out from I'm Thieves. Completely interrupted that one. So, sorry, not from I'm Thieves, from I didn't see who that was from, but either way, Okami managed to take themselves out in the middle of that barrage, only found 1 kill, which I believe has been raised back in. It's 96% and counting. They need to get on the point and start this contest going. It's a big hook there from Ricky Spanish. Bob's already on the point and starting to chunk through what is left of Justice Pace from above here. That's 2 for the Bob. Ricky Spanish with the Space Maker, and the big hook won't find the follow-up. We'll see the shadow come through. Knocks Ricky Spanish down onto the ground, but the damage has been done here. No real way for the Reinhardt of Radiant to get back onto the point, and it's 100-0 for Amazon OWS.
Yeah, very convincing 100-0 as well. I think 1 or 2 members on the other side of PayPal didn't actually quite get their ultimates online in time. I saw, of course, a lot of DPS swaps coming out from Arthman and Shortling Crow. I don't know if they're going to stick on this Fire Mercy for this map. I mean, Ruins is a very open point. Usually you would advise against it. But if they can control those hit scan on the other side with dodging as the Pharah, as well as maybe Popcorn now on the Widow, that would be a still a fairly effective choice. And so far, it hasn't really seemed like Kagokami had any problems with the hit scan on the other side.
That's right. I mean, we're going to see this matchup come through again with Chortling Crow looking to try and take Okami on in the skies, but it didn't work out. And Chortling Crow was slow to swap. Sorry, Arthman was slow to swap onto the right hero to counter. So let's see if they can make a better go of it with a bit more data on the opponent this time through. Popcorn looking for angles on those long sight lines, but for now there will of course be a number of shields in the way. Can't quite find their headshot onto Chortling Crow, and with Chortling Crow out, are still in the fight even, they're able to get the kill onto Radiant. Ricky Spanish still on the hog. Pressures out the Winston, leaps away, but won't find the follow-up hook to drag him back. Instead, colliding with the Masonry. Seems like we found an environmental kill there, but now it's both Farahs out of the picture, and the kills starting to rack up once again for Amazon OWS. Xanthus were able to get themselves in on the kill feed as well. Will land the sleep heals back up with the biotic grenade, and is doing a good amount of work here getting towards that ultimate. No point cap just yet. It's almost come through for Amazon OWS, and there is the flip.
Nice flip, nice first fight, of course. Ultimate charge not that far apart, especially Xanthus and Defo really getting their ultimates up quickly. They might be able to get those off, but unfortunately Chortling Crow doesn't do much, Phil.
You got to feel bad for Chortling Crow right now, because between the aerial battle that they're not winning and Popcorn consistently piling the pressure in, they're struggling to make themselves known here. 35% ult and charging, but charging slowly, and Amazon OWS still finding the kills.
Well, it's interesting as well, because I said it before the map started, right? Like, you can run a pharmacy sometimes if your other hit scan or other DPS helps pressure out the hit scan on the other side. But since Shortling Crow is running that Pharah and is getting actually quite pressured by Popcorn, but apparently Kagokami isn't pressured enough by Arthman, that balance just is more true than ever. But we got to see the tank battle take place, but it almost goes wrong for Marauder.
And they've already lost one of their supports. The Mercy did have the ultimate online as well, but Defo is now out of the picture, and it's a big old smash into the Q button coming through from Amazon OWS. We'll see the Nano Boost online. No need to commit the barrage here. Okami able to just get it done with the primary fire, and the damage boost that comes from having both a Mercy and an Ana in the back pocket. What a direct to round out the fight. We are most of the way to being done with this map now, Classy.
It's so close to being done, and it doesn't really seem like there's a lot they can do on the side of PayPal Justice Pace from above. They have the tac visor ready, but it's a question mark whether they can get enough damage out of that in time. I think they've already spotted the soldier. Ricky Spanish looking for that hook. Might just get it. Nope, pillar in the way and a sleep dart block stab, but that would have been done and dusted right there.
Man, Ricky Spanish. Marauder shields. We are going to pretend that we didn't see that one, my friend. There's the barrage, but it's 2 for 2 as Arthman's able to find 2 with the tactical visor, but it's just not enough. The airborne threat taken out of the sky by the tactical visor, but there's a lot of danger still on the ground, and that is going to be as far as it goes here on Ilios. Well, a quick 2-0 for Amazon OWS.
It's one of these situations where you're trying to talk about the little things, right? Like, what are the little things that didn't quite go PayPal Justice Pace from Above's way? And sure, sometimes it's a shot you don't hit, sometimes it's one ability that doesn't go off right. In that last fight, for instance, maybe if Defoe gets that res off, that might be a very different situation, right? Like, they get the res off here, and then, I mean, I still think Arthman lost that 1v1 after, but, you know, it's one of those situations, if the res does come off, you get that extra time by, you get the extra resources, you get the extra ability to keep fighting. And then that maybe they can flip that point around. But unfortunately, Amazon OWS has not come to play today. They've come to win. And they're doing a good job of that so far. 200 to zeros.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a heck of a way to kick off the match. We will, of course, be going to at least 2 more maps. And our format is that now PayPal, just as Pays from Above, will have the opportunity to pick their map. So they're going to be looking to find something that they can really leverage their best composition on. And we have seen a little bit of flexibility. We've certainly seen both DPS players playing both what you would think of as a projectile role, either the Pharah or the Symmetra, and a hit scanner role. So clearly, there is some flexibility there, but I just feel like without the ability to put somebody on a quick burst, high impact hit scan hero like the Widowmaker that Popcorn was doing so well in the previous round, it's going to be difficult for them if they keep running into Okami on the Pharah.
Yeah, you're really talking about a situation here where PayPal Justice Reigns from Above kind of has to make that decision that you often hear about. Like, do we actually try and fight the Pharah? And I think they were quite extensively trying to fight the Pharah in the map of Ilios. Or do we just try and ignore the Pharah and get the ground battle won quick enough, or at least put so much pressure on the ground war that the Pharah's input isn't enough to keep that going? So far they've been going for we counter the Pharah route, but maybe countering the Pharah means not playing against the Pharah, but playing against the rest of her team.
And I think if you look at how they were playing that, we don't want to get this into coaching corner here. That's not our role. I feel like PayPal Justice Pays from Above, who I'm sorry, I am just going to start referring to as PayPal because that is a mouthful of a team name. For PayPal here, it seemed like they were trying to have the best of both worlds, and so they were leaving Arthman to try and deal with the Pharah, and trying to deal with Pharah with a Mercy Pocket as a soldier is incredibly difficult unless you've got that attack visor up. And in the meantime, Okami didn't really have to do much to focus Arthman. Arthman was just sort of trying to get around the masonry, trying to find angles onto Okami and not getting it. And in the meantime, the damage was coming in from the pharmacy duo, and the ground war was being won because they were running very DPS centric tanks for Amazon as well.
Yeah, for sure, and we're gonna see some swaps come out from at least from PayPal. I'm guessing from Amazon. So Amazon is getting they are playing the same.
No, we're just to let you know, we're looking at a lobby and the names haven't swapped yet. So Moon and I Fail a Lot are the subs available for PayPal Justice Pays from Above, I believe.
So Montic is now in, and Balerion is also new. I'm thinking. Yeah, those are the two that have come in. Some I Fail a Lot have just been subbed out. Of course, there's a lot of reasons why that could be the case. We'll find out soon enough which one it will be.
I can tell you exactly why Montic has been swapped in, because if you look at the average SR for these teams, you go, oh, well, it's 100, it's a couple of hundred difference. But that's failing to take into account that Montic is a 3.8k player, and specifically an Ana specialist. And you don't always look at a support role as being particularly a carry role, but I think a good enough Ana can be. And when you look at the level of Montic compared to the rest of the lobby, there is the potential here that Montic might actually be a carry Ana, which would be a thing to see. This is like having ML7 in your platinum games, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if Montic, because it looks like they're going to Gibraltar next. So imagine if Montic just gets to play Ana versus a Widowmaker the entire time and just wins that. That's kind of how the carry Ana works, where it's just a better sniper than the actual sniper class in the game, or the sniper hero. That's of course getting a bit ahead of ourselves here.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. One of the fun things, though, as we look at PayPal Justice Pays from Above, one of the players is actually quite familiar with this Amazon OWS team because they were on the previous iteration of it. Xanthus has now apparently switched companies and therefore also switched Overwatch teams, because that's how that works. So Xanthus was with a larger part of the Amazon OWS, which were last year called differently as well. But they're basically playing against their former teammates, and so far not winning, which is usually a bit of a gripe.
A little bit, but I think that's actually one of the highest points for the CEA tournament. There are a number of points over the last year where we were talking to players. It's like, oh, so how do you feel coming into this lobby against this team that you don't know? It's like, actually, I used to be on
Yeah.
the same team as their tank. He was
Yeah.
our leader in the previous iteration. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like getting to know how all these people know each other is good. It's cool. It really helps with building the sense of community.
Also feels like it's a small world that way. It's just like, oh, so basically if you work for that company, you can go to any of these others whenever you want to find a new job because apparently they're all so interconnected. Of course, that's not exactly how it works. It's probably more of a specific departmental type of thing, but it's still fun to see, see those connections that people have with each other, even when they work at different companies. So we'll see how much gaming will bring these teams together and whether they might actually just go for a full peace map, but I doubt it. Of course, it's all about getting those points early in the season to carry yourself into the playoffs and then potentially take the entire gauntlet home. Because while you might not play for actual money for yourselves, you do play for money for a charity. And who doesn't want to give more money to a good cause?
Quite right. And we've got two very different approaches here. A dive variant coming in from Amazon up against a double shield bunker here from Justice Pays, with Arfman picking up the Mei here.
I like it. I love the Mei. It's definitely, if you want to wall something off or just want to deter something from diving in too deep, Mei is perfect for that.
Absolutely. Well, looks like we're getting ready to set up the dive. Won't see the hack come through for Maidon, but nice high ground position here from Ricky Spanish. Able to hide behind the bubble and just pepper in some damage and build up that. Oh, Popcorn going through an angle with the jump shot. Won't find it. Too much shielding available. And takes a dink there from the right click from the Mei. Wall's going to stop them getting out. And now Arfman closes the distance. Pops the ice block. Gets the health back here. And it's now a full investment from Justice Pathmove as they drop down to hold in the cart zone down here. But Arfman's already down, no res available. Defo, Shortling Crow down shortly after, and Amazon OWS start to bully their way through.
They did a very smart thing, Amazon OWS did, where they send different dive heroes to sort of surround Justice. And unfortunately, Justice sort of responded to that by all splitting up to fight individual targets. And that's not what you need to do against the dive. They're going to be more bunched up, but let's see if they can actually hold on to this.
We'll see the kill come through there. Kambi now on the Diva this time rather than a DPS roll. Finds Xanthus. Iron Team's going to go down 2. Nobody is even considering contesting Popcorn right now. And they are just free shooting into the morass of bodies down by the point. There's their headshot. Arfman down. The boost onto Popcorn, proving dividends, and an early use of tactical vise. We will see Popcorn looking to get an early frag in this next point. Hack comes through there onto Xanthus, now picking up the Tracer. A Hack Tracer, 9 times out of 10, is just that classic, a dead Tracer.
Yeah, that's just going to be a respawn there. Luckily, they have traveling technology, so maybe they can alter the universe. But this chase is brutal. We know the Gibraltar Stagger. I think this goes beyond that, Phil. This is just looking like just a chase. That's all it is. They just keep chasing.
It's a full-on route. We are halfway through the hangar phase, and there's not been a proper team fight here. Aggression from Amazon OWS has been phenomenal. There's the EMP self-destruct over the top, and that is the type of self-destruct that some remains dream of.
Sometimes you just get one of those games where it's very clear that one of the teams knows exactly what they're doing, and that's the case right here. I will say Justice has so many ultimates in the bank. They should be able to get something done here, but that's still easier said than done.
Well, beautiful trans coming through there for Montic. The first I feel we in this match really has been a little bit one-sided, not really a lot for the high SR player to do. And the confidence here from Ricky Spanish in deep, down to half HP, still fragging, and then a casual jump back.
It's all about target focus, and right now there is just not enough targets on Justice side to focus any targets. That's target focus from a dive. They get focused, but they don't find their focus themselves. There's a lot of damage going back and forth, but the damage that's going back is just way more important than what's going forth right now from Justice. Freeze onto Ricky Spanish, but he's not going to be afraid of a Mei. Arfman gets smacked to bits there.
I mean, look, there's value in using up that Primal Raise, but he's still able to get out and start to find additional value. And again, no one is even thinking about Popcorn at the back. There are so many tools here for Justice, pace from above, and they finally going to start to put them in. Out comes the Blizzard first off. will not get any valuable freezes, and Xanthus goes down. Another self-destruct. Only going to find the shield here, but the sound barrier is now committed from Trolling Crow as well. EMP comes through, catches 3. I'm teased down. Trolling Crow down. Radiant is able to find 1. It's only Maidon, and this is quite the time bank. 3 minutes, 47 seconds on Gibraltar.
I mean, hey, you thought you had seen record times on maps before. This is definitely one that goes in the books, Phil. This is a very, very fast time on a map like Gibraltar. Only took about, well, this is that 4 minutes 13 to get through the entirety of it.
Fast maps, I like it.
Now we'll see how much time they need to defend this first point, or how far Justice can actually get, because Gibraltar is a relatively tricky one to take first point on. We've seen like Overwatch League first season. I think maybe season 2 even, when on Gibraltar these dives were popular. Teams just couldn't get through that first checkpoint. And if Amazon is that good at dive as they just shown, or on the other side when Justice doesn't quite know how to really deal with it just yet, or maybe hasn't warmed up enough for that, then this might be just a 4-minute end.
You can look at an Overwatch team as they're all different kinds of soup. So, you know, you've got your main ingredients, you've got your mechanical skill, your positioning, your flexibility, but there's a little bit of seasoning, of having a game plan, and there is plenty of game plan seasoning here from Amazon OWS. And Justice pace from above, sadly just a little bit bland right now.
Yeah, so let's see if there is any changes coming out. It does look like there's some adjustment coming out. We see a Reinhardt, a Soldier, even a Brigitte, and a Moira, very anti-dive and mobility included. But unfortunately, there is at least one adjustment coming out. Popcorn on the Ashe now, and on defense with the Dynamite, that can be just a hard burn straight away.
I think we really just need some solid focus here from Justice. Just get this payload to a point where holding this high ground position doesn't offer them any additional value, but it's not working out for them just yet. Thieves already lost the mech here. That is a big advantage for the team who still has their D.Va in a mech, and there's the kill onto the pilot form with the D.Va here as well. Popcorn continuing to pepper in the damage, even having moved away from the Widowmaker and onto a slightly less punchy Ashe. Radiant taking a lot of damage. That Orb of Discord making it just so difficult to survive. But Justice Pays are still getting some shots in. Thieves able to find one. We'll see the D-Mech come through. Okami now into the pilot form and looking to get that back ASAP. Maidon has the EMP ready to go. I don't know if they've really got the numbers to throw this in. I don't think they want it just yet, particularly when the manual hacks are good enough to get it done in the first instance. They did lose IFail a lot here as well, but slowing the advance here from Amazon, it's just not quite slow enough.
Not just yet, but there's the tech fight from Arfman. At least gets Popcorn out of the way. He's chasing down the tanks right now, and it does create some space. So we'll be able to push further forward. The pulse bomb of Xanthus, though, you're not going to get Monte that easy.
That's really unfortunate. Xanthus chose possibly the worst target here from a mechanics point of view to take on in the duel. Montic just puts paid to any of that silliness. Now has the Transcendence ready to go. Keeps his team alive through that. Importantly, keeps Ricky Spanish out. Full 1000 HP. One unkillable. Angry Monkey. Thieves hacked in the middle of the dive to try and dislodge Popcorn. So Popcorn still with the high ground advantage for now and not being too challenged. Oh, nice interrupt there on the res. I feel a lot stunned out of that one, but the damage has been done, and we see the hold materialize once again. Montic won't find the headshot, but did contribute in that final kill.
Yeah, just that Discord Orb can be so brutal, especially for a hero like Tracer who already has such little HP. Discord Orb is just a fail, and especially just one extra headshot from that Zenyatta, even a body shot, is a big chunk of that health gone. Now we'll see if there's going to be any more adjustments. It doesn't look like it. I do think that with the ultimates they have, they should probably pursue this, but they do need to start finding a way to find a 6, because this is just a 1-by-1 falling down of heroes that you do not want to see, Phil. It's just they're pushing them back into spawn.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit there of people throwing good money after bad. Like, really, at that point, Radiant, the rest of his team had gone, and he was still pushing forward, and he's already got his ult. He was only giving ult charge over to an already stacked lineup for ult charge on the opponent's side. Maiden on
Yeah,
the
we're
high
looking
ground
at
has the EMP, sees the self-destruct, comes in, there's the EMP, only a 2k this time, but enough to break the back of the offensive push through. There's the DMAC, there's the kill, and the hold continues onwards.
I've been that Reinhardt. Like, I'll be fine. I don't care about a self-destruct. I have a shield, and all of a sudden, EMP. It's such a devastating combo if you don't see it coming. And they could have seen it coming maybe, but Kagokami definitely saw that pulse bomb coming. What it eats.
Yeah, chomping that one down, and still ults to play with here for both sides. We'll see the self-destruct comes through. I fail a lot, not able to make their way around the corner and find a way out of that one. And now it is the turn of Amazon OWS to start throwing these ults in. There's already 2. Radiant gets the shatter in. Primal Rage is there, but Ricky Spanish gets deleted through the middle of it. Tactical Visor comes through as well. I think a lot of that mitigated by Montek with the Transcendent. That is now done and dusted, as is Montek themselves here as well. Arfman desperately trying to play around the payload here and file in the damage to find the kills, but can't find the angle. The Spanish now back on the Wrecking Ball. Wants to keep us alive that a little bit longer, but we are deep into overtime here. It's not going to take much to dislodge them from the payload and keep them coming on through. Maiden's got another EMP, but the payload is incredibly close. Less than 4 meters separate this payload, and a run through to the hangar phase here. But Justice pays from above, but the kills come through at a rate of knots, and there is a second bomb on the field in this fight for Popcorn. Radiant with the shield up, desperately trying to keep what's left of the team alive, but that is it. One last TNT to seal the fate of Justice Pays from above.
Maidon was so lucky in that last fight. The fact that Xanthus didn't chase down that elimination, I mean, I wouldn't say that's a mistake. You sometimes as a tracer, you also just feel like you're too low, but it was a sliver of HP. And then Maidon just got to run around on that and actually kill Xanthus later. But this was still the play of the game, of course. You see it beautiful in the middle, 5k, straight away done. It's beautifully placed. And it's mostly like the self-destruct is good, but the timing and placement of that EMP, that's what's really hard about that one. How do you hit everyone at the same time, and how do you get the timing right where the self-destruct doesn't give them enough time to escape from it? It's that very delicate timing, and it was a very good combo. They had another one afterwards, the double barrier kills. This was definitely the tip of the iceberg when it comes to those team play skills and team play combinations.
I think just to bring this back a little earlier to a point you made about goats, like goats is a thing that, like, when it was at its peak, the attitude was, oh, just go goats and win, it's easy. And okay, maybe it's easier than some of the compositions, but you've got to know how to do it just right. You've got to have the game sense. And Maidon and Okami there show that they absolutely have the game sense that you need to pull off that kind of combo, because it does require, as you were saying, that near pixel perfect coordination and timing. So really hats off there for Amazon. PayPal Justice Pays from above, I feel like they almost squeaked us through to a hangar phase there. It's just that the ult charge rate for Amazon was so quick.
Yeah, and I don't even feel like Amazon's ult charge is that quick. It's just that the ult charge for PayPal Justice isn't just quite up to par where it needs to be. And it all has to do with the way they create space for themselves, the way they choose the targets they engage on, or rather, don't as a team choose them, but rather individually seem to choose them. It's a very distraught game of group of players right now. Might have to do with them being a relatively new team. It's of course not a team that has been together for seasons, as we know. But there's definitely a sense of practice that is still going to be had, and that's logical. I mean, you can't play like a well-oiled machine from day one always. That's not how it works.
No, particularly when it's your first time playing in a team environment, which it often is for new teams in CEA. Some of the bigger companies that have managed a couple of different teams sometimes move players around to give that sense of leadership to a newer team. But I have to say, I don't recognize any of the names here from PayPal Justice Pays from above. So my expectation is this is not just a new team, but a group of players who are maybe used to piling hours into comp, and I'm looking at some of the borders here. We've got some very high playtime players in the lobby, but organized play against another organized team is a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah, and that I mean, again, that just shows as well the way they're playing right now is just even if you've watched a lot of organized play, like you see a lot of players that watch Overwatch League, watch contenders, be like, oh, they should have done this or they should have done that. But when you're in that situation, it's so different to actually think about those things and to execute them and to communicate them clearly. So a lot of that is also one of those, it's easy to say when you're not in the situation. But that being said, we're up for map 3 soon. I think it's going to be Kings Row.
What? Kings
Kings Row
Row?
is going to be great, and
Hybrid?
not just that, it's going to be the winter version as well. It looks like so. I am completely happy
Okay.
seeing a different look. Even it's the same map that we always see. It's at least a different look, Phil. So that's something to look forward to.
And let's drag this back to last season. In the finals, we were right in the middle of the Christmas season. This map was seasonally appropriate for the winter version, and yes, fine, we're still in winter, but this is a Christmas map. And the
Yeah.
teams in the final refused to play the winter mode of it because it was the finals and they didn't want any quirky things happening with the map. And I was disappointed. I don't know about you, don't know about the audience. So the fact that we now get a little bit of payback here, we get to see the winter game mode, pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, and of course, it's always about consent, from either teams or from the organization. In this case, everyone's fine with it, so we're just doing it. And yeah, exactly. It's just a fresh look of the map. There isn't that much about the map that's different, but there are
No.
like one or two tiny things that do actually make a difference in terms of gameplay. We probably won't see them interact with the players or what they're trying to do.
The only
But
one
it's a
that really
possibility.
stands out, the only one that really stands out to me is not actually Winter Kings Row. It's Halloween Eichenwald, where
Yeah.
for some reason there is a fence in a position where you can normally knock people off.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand that decision, and I know that Muma, tank previously of the Houston Outlaws, was particularly vocal about that not being a great decision. I can't
We've
think of
seen
one for Kings Row.
multiple. I know. Well, there was another one in Icon at some point, which they removed eventually, where there was that little platform next to the first choke. I don't know if
Oh
you remember that one.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
also there, so it was just an icon mode thing, maybe. But there's like a few tiny things on Kings Row. The payload interacts a tiny bit different, and some of the boxes or presents that are like around the map have a little bit of a
Sure.
different interaction with things. It's not something huge, but it does happen sometimes. Or like the height difference or the shape difference makes a bit of a difference in how you experience the game and how you feel it. That being said, though, this series, it kind of feels like it's all but over. But I will say Kings Row is always that map that inexplicably makes teams play very different.
Yes.
So we'll see if they can actually pull that back. We have, once again, Amazon in the red. Maybe PayPal Justice Pace from above in the blue. And it might actually be my lucky day where we get to see some Reaper.
We may well do, yeah. I'm Teves now on the DPS role, coming out with the Reaper, and we've got the double bubble comp coming in from Amazon, if this is what we see coming out on offense. Defense, though, back on this Rhine Diva composition. And actually, this is more of a swap than I realized, because this time it's Arfman picking up the main tank role. Let's see if this swap in roles changes the fortunes of Justice Pace from above.
Yeah, I'm teased, and it's gonna be one of those. The early Widow shot. I mean, they don't usually stick on the double sniper. You see, Maidon switch over too, but that first shot's always one you take, right? It's always just in case, and they got it.
That's really rough. But you've got to assume they've seen Popcorn playing a Widow already. You play out of the sightline for the Widow just in case. Maidon finds a second. I'm Teves is down. Should be just in time for Radiant to come back on the Moira, and just in time for the defense to crumble like so much stale cracker bread.
Oh, you gotta be happy now that there's no double fire strike in the game just yet. Ricky Spanish just going forward and smacking him, fire striking and charging all the way through this PayPal team. It's 3 minutes to go, but it's gonna be 2.5 extra, so 5.5 minutes to get through Street's face. That is not a tall order at all.
This is so clearly such a more experienced team for Amazon here as well, because they know exactly when to press and aggress. They're so good at getting these bubbles off to protect Ricky Spanish as well. They've already managed an early Dragon Strike, and the damage is going to keep on coming through. Oh, they start to clap back though. Both tanks going down in a hail of bullets coming through from the DPS lineup from Justice Pace move, and they start to retake the space here, and they've got an opportunity now to hold at the choke.
They found the hero. It's Wrecking Ball. And maybe also McCree to a degree. Now, Wrecking Ball is a really good hero. Yeah, but like it really, if you want to do some Discord, if you want to disable heroes, both McCree and Wrecking Ball are very good choices because they both bring that utility, right? You see that charge in there? That means there's no mobility coming after Ricky Spanish, but he doesn't need it.
Ooh, fat shadow, but no follow-up, and Defo was able to get that immortality field up. Buys time for Xanthus to get up off the ground, pop the tactical visor, and find Maidon early on, looking for another pile drive in from Shortling Crow. Almost has that minefield ready to go. In fact, there it is online. Lots of HP available, but it is a big grab now from Marauder Shield. No defensive ults, no chance to get an immortality field up, and lots of chance for Popcorn to come in with the 3K. I fail a lot with another one, and what was looking like a great hold here from Justice Pace from above starts to bend back as Amazon push forward.
I think that's still a great hold. I mean, they used three ultimates, both tank ultimates and a Dragon Strike to get through there. And it wasn't even that convincing of a win. Now you're going to have Minefield, High Noon, Application Matrix close to Coalescence. Like, they're looking pretty good if they can defend this point again. 11, it looks like they're going to be able to.
Shortling Crow still has the minefield, but just a ridiculous amount of damage there between Marauder Shields and Maidon, able to just wear them down completely. Spanish still keeping up the pressure. They know that they don't need to back off. They can keep a healer on the card and just push and push and push and push. And the hammer swings were a little bit too late there from Arkman. He had the backing of both his supports at his back and wasn't able to make anything work with it. And now the team is down that main tank. I'm Teeves being able to find one that's immediately raised back up. We'll find I'm Teeves in the back. He almost takes out the High Noon, but Maidon turns around, finds the bullet into the skull and knocks him out of the fight. Amazon are not being slowed down by anything that Justice Pace will have wanted to throw at them. We saw the tactical visor coming out there. It found nothing. We see the minefield coming out there. It is just so many shiny Christmas baubles on the cart, and we're around the final corner now, Classic.
You see that follow-up. This is a constant backing that's coming out from PayPal. As soon as they push forward as a squad, they actually look pretty good. But that consistent pressing S is just not what's working for them. They need to initiate with this ball.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Ricky Spanish read that one from a mile away and had a shatter of their own. The charge connects and Radiant goes down. And now Ricky Spanish is free to luxuriate in the Dragons as they storm towards spawn. And that is a 3.5 minute time bank on King's Row.
Not quite Gibraltar related in terms of time bank. Like, they're still missing about 20 seconds. But that being said, Phil, PayPal had one good fight. They had one good fight in Street Space, and after that, it was just, again, a complete rollover. And it's all these tiny timing windows. You see Shortling Crow go in with the Wrecking Ball, and she has a pretty good idea of what to do with the heroes in general. Like, that was not the issue. But it's just because she goes in too early or a little bit too late, the rest of the team cannot abuse the discord that she sows, the distractions that she creates, the pile drivers that she throws up, and those are really great tools. That's why Wrecking Ball works so well in Overwatch. But if you don't quite time them well, if you don't have a hit scan waiting for headshots, if you don't have a tank waiting for like a fire strike or anything follow up, then all those abilities just serve for your own needs as a Wrecking Ball, and it mostly just gives the enemy team an opportunity to actually counter you and take you out of the fight before it actually starts. So I hope that they find a solution to their problem, and honestly, setting might as well be the best solution you can find, because if no one can walk in the wrong direction or initiate at the wrong time because you're all together anyways, then at least you've got the timing issue sorted.
Looks like we might be seeing some of a slow and steady peep and creep coming out here from Justice Pace from above, just trying to keep Xanthus alive so they can get some damage done. But all of this info is being spotted out by Maidon, who's relaying it back to the team. There's the hack coming through, takes Xanthus out of that turret form and can't land the shots to take the duel. Maidon gets out with a life, and Xanthus spends a whole heap of time doing a whole heap of nothing there. Setting up again, looking to burn down some shields. A lot of damage there. We are going to see a slow rotation to the left there from Ricky Spanish to avoid that. There's actually a great buy of space there from Xanthus.
Almost got that Sombra out of there as well. Maidon goes very low. Now it's the Reinhardt. Time to overshoot the Reinhardt. Time to shoot the Zarya. Make sure those shields are perpetually broken. That's what the Bastion's there for. Just keep spamming at them. Give them no space to room. And they do get Maidon.
That's a heck of a nice kill. I'm surprised Maidon wasn't able to get out of that one. Actually, a really good job here of cycling bubbles onto Ricky Spanish to buy energy for Marauder's shield. But now Ricky Spanish has that shatter ready to go. We get a nice main wall there, somehow helping Xanthus get up onto higher ground and find some damage. Launches a rocket, finds I fail a lot. Still keeping it going, but almost all of that going into the Ryan shield. Eats the shatter. And now Xanthus, with that immortality field down, is taken out of the fight. For a second, it looked phenomenally good there for Justice Pays, but Amazon punched their way back into the fight.
I mean, you see how Amazon almost ignores that tank line too. They're only looking at the DPS right now, and Arfman and Shortling Crow aren't really able to properly abuse that or properly take advantage of that. I mean, that's also the reason why they're sort of being ignored, why they're sort of being run past, especially that Orisa. I mean, I know we always say it. If you want to counter Orisa, just run at her or run past her shield and you're kind of done. And that seems to keep happening. But the EMP is ready. Let's see what they combo with it this time.
And there's a couple of ults here that could just be cancelled by a good EMP. The Shatter and the Supercharger can both be taken out there by the EMP, and they're both ready to go. Maidon is crouched on top of the bus, waiting for them to go. We'll see the EMP coming through. No, not going to come through. The Blizzard instead out from Popcorn. Oh, they need a different kind of space-controlling ultimate, and one that takes us down below the 2-minute mark on the offense here for Justice.
Hey, look, when you're in Graviton, you're grouped up as a team, and that's something that you would think that Justice wouldn't mind. But unfortunately, that's not where they want it to be at that point in time. Shortling Crow goes back over to the Wrecking Ball. Again, I don't think that's a poor choice. I think they've been doing really well on the Wrecking Ball. Let's see if they can get the timing right. Well, the wall timing was definitely right there.
That was phenomenal. EMP out now. 2 by Xanthus, Defo, and Radiant. There's no kills. They weather the storm with the EMP, and they're ready to go back in. Popcorn pops the wall that gets a 2-ton hamster meg onto the top of the head for their triple. IMTs is able to find Maidon here, and Valerian's already used the res, so that's not going to be bringing them back into the fight anytime soon. Xanthus finds one here, but Marauder Shield has a huge amount of charge and a huge amount of focus. Takes down Xanthus, charms towards the back line, trying to deal with Shortling Crow, but Ricky Spanish gets the job done before they can arrive.
That was almost a start to something, but unfortunately they couldn't quite finish it. Ricky Spanish is ready with the charges, Shatter, and everything else they want to use, but it's still that defense. It's the defense holding strong right now, Phil.
Marauder Shields here, just absolutely confident in their high charge rate here. Just peeking the corner to get more damage onto Arkham to get that charge up. Popcorn's able to outsnipe Iron Thieves, taking them out of the fight. And we are down into the final 20 seconds with a Blizzard and Coalescence combo that does a heck of a lot of damage. And Xanthus finally gets that duplicate online, picks up arguably the best pick on the field there, and just gets focused into oblivion. 0 seconds on the clock, and it is a 3-0 sweep for Amazon OWS.
I think if I have to sum up this entire matchup, I would, with one word, I'd say initiative. I will say that while teamwork was definitely also an option there, I do think that especially in this map and also the other maps, the initiative that Amazon is able to take, or the initiative that PayPal thinks they can sometimes take or don't think they can take, that makes all the difference. That confidence, that the idea of this is when we can go, or the idea of this is what we do now, or now is when we do this. All of that is all part of that initiative feeling or that initiative coordination. And the initiative was just entirely on Amazon's side for about 3 maps. And yeah, well, 300 to 0 basically.
It's unfortunate because for a completely new company, a completely new team like PayPal, you'd like them to come away with a couple of points on
Something.
the board. Yeah, like
Something. Yeah.
we did this. We took this off them. I still think there are moments there where they performed admirably. They mounted a great defense there on the streets phase of Kings Row, and I think they should look at that as a real high moment of the match. And certainly a lot of footage here to look at to try and fine tune their approach for the remaining weeks of the group stages.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we've just had this match now. Just it was a 3-0. And the group stages are sometimes like this. That's just how group stages work. Especially if you don't have a SR ranges or any limitations or any specific ranking or seeding of any kind. You will often get into situations like this where teams are just very unmatched at the beginning, especially week one, day one. And it did seem like that was just the case today. Based on SR, not necessarily so, but based on the experience of the team play that Amazon portrayed, they just have told PayPal that they have a little bit of a ways to go, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes
No.
having something to play for, having something to practice specifically, feels very nice and gives you something to do. But sometimes it can also feel a little bit devastating. So we'll try and see if we can hear from the teams what they thought about it. But for now, we're going to take a short break before we get back with that with you.
Hey everybody, we're back now with the interview portion of the show. And, well, we got a lot of people in here today, particularly from Amazon. So joining us from Amazon, I Fail a Lot, Marauder Shields, and Maidon and Montic. And just Xanthus coming through from PayPal. So, Xanthus, I hope you don't feel too overwhelmed by the hordes of Amazon that you've got around you. Xanthus, let's give you the first chance to talk here.
Sure.
First entry for PayPal, first match of the season. I'm guessing didn't quite go how you wanted it to go, but how were you feeling overall?
I mean, overall, I was happy with how we played. Like you said, this is the first time PayPal's been in or fielded a team for Overwatch. I think it might be the first PayPal team in CEA overall. We've only been together a couple weeks, so we're still trying to find our footing and just work on basic teamwork stuff. So I'm happy with how we played, even though we lost.
Great.
Okay, good to hear. At least that wasn't a complete devastating experience. That would be a shame. Only the first match of the season. Well, I mean, on the other side, of course, you like the Amazon squad. You guys had a fairly successful first game of this specific split. Was there anything that really jumped out to you that you guys were like, "Oh, this is fun," or "Oh, that's surprising"?
Well, I know going into it, we had a lot of practice. I think we played last season as well, and I think we've been playing now for 4 months together, and we've been really trying to focusing on a plan and executing it. And I think there were a couple of times where we really focused on that, and that came through with some of the team fight wins. But it was interesting coming across that comp because we hadn't practiced against their like the Bastion, for example. We were kind of questioning ourselves, like how do we combat this? And it really threw us off our game for a bit. So they had us worried there.
Glad we could push you guys a little bit.
That's good that we get a little bit of back and forth there, and that we've got PayPal thinking outside the box. I guess following on from that, Xanthus, what was the thinking behind the Bastion on that last map?
I don't remember who it was, but someone said, why don't we go out on Bastion? And we all kind of laughed, and then it was quiet for a second. And they're like, "Are you going to pick Bastion?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. I'm picking Bastion."
I almost expected to see the top hat strat coming out from you guys with the sim to put the Bastion up there on top of Mondata's head. So maybe next time we'll get some top hat action from you guys.
Yeah. Maybe we next time we'll have a solidified Bastion strat, but this time it was just pretty winged.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys, of course, had to also deal with the patch coming in on Thursday. Was that any big consideration for you, starting with Amazon?
Particularly, we don't like our tanks were buffed, so we weren't too worried there. And our Sombra play and our support and tank and damage lineup were all consistent, so they weren't really change too much. So there wasn't too much of a change for us, which is nice. And with ball being nerfed a bit more, it meant that we could play a bit more freely around corners, which is really nice.
Well, I think we've probably covered the match in sufficient detail now, but I wanted to give both teams a little opportunity to talk about the charities that you've picked and why you've picked them. So, Xanthus, if we come back to you, I think relatively straightforward here. You're contributing to Girls Who Code. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the charity and why you've picked them?
Yeah, so the charity in general supports efforts to increase the presence of women in engineering fields. I don't remember who on the team proposed it, but basically we took a poll at the beginning of the season and let everyone propose different charities that they felt some affinity for, and then we voted on those, and Girls Who Code came out on top.
Great. Well, definitely a worthwhile organization. We'll look forward to seeing if you can generate a bit of cash for them over the course of the season. And I guess same question then to Amazon. And the name of your charity is perhaps a little less obvious. So why don't you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. So we're fighting for To Right Love in Our Arms, which are basically a charity that support battling depression, mental suicide, and those types of topics. So for me, I know a couple people that I know suffer from those mental illnesses, which is a real shame, and hopefully we can combat and beat in our generation.
Well, that's another very worthwhile sounding charity, guys. But I think that's very very quickly drawing us to the end of the interview section today, unless, of course, Classy's got anything else he'd like to tack on.
I mean, I think you guys already did the pleasantries in the game chat themselves, but we mentioned it before. But of course, Xanthus previously actually playing with them with the Amazon squad. It's been a while, of course, so like roughly a year.
Yeah.
But it's I'm still familiar faces here and there. So I'm guessing, like, was that a specific thing you thought about, like, going into it, or like how you experienced that, or was it just, oh, I used to work there, I now work here?
Yeah, the only thing that we talked about beforehand is that we absolutely have to win against my old team. It didn't work out like we planned or like we hoped, but if we were going to lose our first match to anybody, I guess I pick anyone but this team.
Okay.
Great.
Well,
Well,
good to
I
know.
guess Yeah, I guess all that remains then, guys, is to give you an opportunity to shout out anybody that you think is deserving of a shout out. So if we go with you first, Athos.
I don't have it on the top of my head.
Fair enough. Well, in which case, thank you very much for your time. Amazon, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we close the broadcast?
I wanted to give a shout out to Cal, our teammate who's taken it easy this season, who's a huge part of our team. I'm sad he couldn't be here. And a shout out to my coach, Gefest, who is why I didn't suck this time around. And I wanted to thank him. That's it.
Great. Well, both teams, thank you very much for playing today. Thank you for agreeing to come and talk to us afterwards as well. It'd be wonderful to get to know you a little better. But unfortunately, that is the end of this portion of the broadcast. But due to a change in format this season, we've got another game coming at you, which we're bringing you after a very short break. So don't go too far, people.